And we are live. Hello and welcome to Gray's live stream. It's Constant here. For some of you who don't know me, I'm the one who does these live streams on a weekly basis. Here with you, tell me how the audio is. Is it good audio? Is it bad audio? Is it the usual audio? Are we buffering again? The reason why we're late is I was trying to set up my phone as a backup. For the 80 Mini that we use. The problem with that is the 80 Mini using one USB-C connection. There's no other USB ports, and that's I'm using to connect it to my computer. So I need to basically find some sort of USB hub to connect to ATEM, plug my phone, and then potentially when we're going to hit the buffering, then it will switch to my phone data, and hopefully there will be no more buffering. But you know, that journey on solving that issue continues. For some of you who've been here for years, you know that we are on our quest to have a perfect internet. Apparently in central London, it's a bit of an issue. Speaking of London, today we're going to talk about photographing London. And while people are gathering up, the reason why I kind of chose this topic is one of our viewers, he's a friend of the shop, his name is Fred, emailed me and said, Con, I'm coming next week. Can you recommend some places to photograph? And then I started to think, you know, I'm living in London for 20 years. So I'm not a tourist anymore. And generally, I go to London for business. Yeah, so either to come to work or some other things, you know, but I generally don't go and see sightseeing and things like this. So I started to think, and I wrote a long email with recommendation, but I thought maybe I can ask you, first of all, people who live in London and want to feel like a tourist again, what's your recommendations of your favorite spots or maybe some hidden gems? What would you recommend? For people who were visiting London maybe a while ago, and they, you know, if you've seen something that was very special to you, please recommend it in the chats and also in the comments below this video. Tell me where you're watching from and if you are planning to visit London anytime soon. That's all that. We're also going to answer your photography questions, ideally Nikon related. So we're going to cover some news, hopefully. There was some Nikon news out. There was some film news out, which I'm excited about as well. And going to talk about tips and tricks of capturing that particular street scene, maybe street photography, of documenting people, maybe street scenes in general. So let's talk all about that. So hello, everyone. Hello, John, Roy, Paul, Rick. Getty was in the shop today. First time, it was fantastic to meet you and Tanya. It's always nice to put, you know, a name that I see in the chat to the face. I finally know how to pronounce your last name, which, you know, I always was wondering, how do you pronounce it correctly? So thank you very much. He opened the coffee fund today, which is open, with a bag of some beautiful coffee, which I'm going to try. It's vacuum packed, so I'm going to keep all that and I'm going to try it out. But thank you very much. If you're in London, come and say hello to us. You know, we'll be happy to show you around the shop. We'll happy to shake your hands and just say hello overall. So yeah, come and visit the shop, absolutely. And yeah, drop me a line if you're coming. So I'm not here every day, but I would love to meet you all. Now, for our Nikon Owner subscribers, we've just got a proof version of the latest issue of Nikon Owner magazine. So this is a proof version, which means we read through that and we find all the spelling mistakes, all the grammatical mistakes, all things like this, all the errors. And then after that, we read it again and we read it again. And then the final version comes out to you and either shipped to you by post or via email. So that one is in. If you haven't subscribed, you're welcome to subscribe to Nikon Owner magazine. But one thing I want to tell you about Nikon Owner magazine, and we're still waiting for people to join us. Today, Richie and Neil from Nikon are doing free event webinar for Nikon Owner subscribers. So that happens today. I think it's like 7 o'clock or something like this. Let me just find it. Friday, 6th of September, 7 o'clock, and it's about Z6 III. So if you're not a subscriber yet and you want to attend this webinar, you need to subscribe now before 5 o'clock because 5 o'clock is going to be a cutoff time for that event. And then Katrin, who deals with Nikon Owner subscription, she will email you the link. Obviously, if you're a Nikon Owner subscriber and you didn't know about this event, come and join us, or you know, you should have gotten a link as far as I'm aware. But if not, email Katrin at nikonownermagazine.com and she will email it to you. So do it now. I put some codes in the description under the video so you can get some discounts of a digital subscription or print subscription, whatever, and then you can see Richie and Neil talking about Nikon Z6 III tonight. Now, if you're watching this video after the fact, then you can always subscribe later and we can send you a recording of that event. So that's what it is. Let's have a nice coffee and start. Yes, I've got the empty one. Okay, fantastic. That's great. It was all smooth until I got the empty flask. Now here we have the flask. It's full of coffee. I'm going to pour it in. Let me just quickly check, make sure that the sound is okay, because I've been talking and I haven't seen any comments. But there's, at least there are no comments, no sound con. That's the thing, and no buffering. So that's some good news. So yeah, let's start. So I've been living in London for almost 20 years. So it's basically a couple more months and it's going to be 20 years. So yeah, it's basically half of my life, right? And obviously I love London. It's a beautiful city, definitely multicultural. So you've got people from all sorts of crooks and nannies of the world, really. And, you know, so really kind of metal of people, you know, kind of people that don't speak English. You know, we have this kind of thing where, you know, you can meet people from all over the world, and that's the best way to learn English, because you just have to talk to them, really. You know, that's the thing. There's no way around it. And I've been to the States before I came to London, right? So, and I could understand American English a lot easier than British English, you know? So I had a bit of a trouble in my first couple of months when I came to London. So, you know, all this, you know, all the accents, you know, the Birmingham accent, the Cockney accent, you know, just a normal thing, really. So that all was quite difficult. But what I enjoyed is, obviously, I went to all the kind of tourist places, like, you know, Big Ben and Parliament, you know, and Trafalgar Square, you know, there's a lot of those places. But later on, kind of the more I started to, you know, walk around, and I started to work in London as well, you know, kind of, there were a lot more different places that I found. So let's see your comments and your recommendations. And in the meantime, I'm going to just pour a coffee for myself. If you have any questions for me, put QQQ in the chat. I'll try to answer them. There's a couple of Nikon news as well that we're going to discuss later on. But I think, you know, it's nice to talk about things that, you know, every time I start the live stream, I don't really know what we're going to talk about. So, but then this email came in from Fred, and I was like, yeah, let's talk about photography in London. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So let's see what people say. So Tom Lawrence already discussing about things Nikon. Okay, we will look into this. Hello, Dave from Wheelchair. Hello. Okay, so Michael Reese says, hello, con everyone from sunny West Cumbria. Fantastic. It's kind of grey and dull in London at the moment. It's been raining for a whole week. Last week was a lot better, but the fingers crossed, hopefully we'll get a little bit, a few more warm days. Hello, Joe Vlogs, David Liu. Okay, so there's a talk about ECN2 processing. That's cool. Have you heard about Harman Phoenix in 120 for medium format? That's been launched yesterday, so I'm very excited to try mine when it arrives on Monday. Hello, Trevor. Hello, J Blue, Robert M. Fantastic. So we got quite a turnout today. Let's see. Okay, I want to see your recommendation about good places to visit in London and photograph. So obviously, if you've never been here before, you got to see, obviously, yeah. So like one thing I always recommend, get to Tower Bridge and walk along the river, basically, towards Westminster. You know, so that's a nice walk. You're going to cover Tower Bridge, anything along this, like London Borough Market, there's a Shakespeare Theatre, you've got Tate Modern, the Millennium Bridge, you name it, you know. So south bank of the river, you know, there's a lot of places, and then you can obviously cross the river and go to St. Paul's, venture off to Trafalgar Square, Westminster Abbey, and the Parliament. Now, the new thing is, if you keep going further, you now have Vauxhall area, yeah, and then Battersea area, which been redeveloped, basically. When I used to live there about 8 years ago, yeah, they were still building all those flats, and they were still refurbishing Battersea Power Station. At the Battersea Power Station, I'm sure that some of you saw it on the cover of Pink Floyd album, you know, so it's quite an iconic building, you know, so, and quite a building of its time, really, in terms of design. So there's, you can walk there, and there's a Battersea Park there. So this is kind of a nice, just kind of a starting point. A lot of places in London are very close to each other. The actual historical sense is quite close. So everything is walkable, really. So unless you venture to places like Greenwich, that's where the Meridian is, Canary Wharf, you know, so, or Richmond Park, you know, those are all on the river. You can take a what's called river taxi or Uber River, whatever they call it now. So, you know, you can always go along that. You can also take a boat to Richmond, but transport in London is very good. Unlike LA, you know, the transport in London is pretty good. You don't need to drive in central London. I hate driving in central London. I generally only do it when I have to. And even if I have to go from South London to North London, I go on, was it M25? And then go around this way, because going through central London just takes too much time and you have to pay congestion charge and things like this. But all the things are walkable, and therefore you can kind of spread it out over several days, and, you know, just there's a lot of photographic opportunities. Now, obviously, there's plenty of things to do for a week, and then where it kind of starts to get more interesting. If you like the more historical things to do, you know, then obviously there's a lot more places to visit. But let's go to your comments first. Thank you, Raimo. I appreciate it. Thank you, Vince. He says, in the summer, London, like a lot of cities, is so different and photogenic really early. The roof of one new change is free and has amazing views of St. Paul's. Yes, so there's quite a few viewing platforms. So the 1 year new change, this is good. Horizon 22, you can book in advance. There's a little kind of garden there, and there's a big balcony with the views of the river and south of London. You can obviously go to the Shard as well if you want to. You can also, I think, have book a restaurant in Shard and kind of you know, do a bit of fine dining with a view of the city. So there's quite a few places like this, and it's nice because every now and then we go to the place and I was like, oh, I've never been in this place in 20 years. So before, that's very interesting. I didn't know this thing was here. So there's quite a few things like this to visit. And let's see. So perfect internet is a huge quest for me too. I agree. I'm at home. I have a fiber, whatever. So 1 gigabit up, 1 gigabit down, or something like this. You know, so that's amazing. You know, been waiting for 3 years, and they finally did our street, and it's just absolutely amazing. You know, so especially if you have to upload the 4K videos, you know, 4K reviews. You know, that takes some time, I can tell you that. So I assume it's for streaming. I guess for my home, I can just stream at 8K, but I don't think those things exist. I know that we're finally starting to get to 4K streaming, you know, so who knows. But in central London, because they're historical buildings, they're grade 2 listed buildings, it's very difficult to do some modifications to them. I don't know much about it. I don't want to go too deep because, you know, all those regulations, you know, but yeah, there's the difficulties with installing a fast internet connection. So that's what it is. John, tell me, you come to London quite often. What's your favorite place to photograph? I know you photograph a lot of, obviously, tube and underground stations, but what else would you recommend? William Rickford recommends Highgate Cemetery, east and west. Yes, that's a very beautiful place. It's generally fairly quiet as well, so I would recommend you. Very, very photogenic. Daywalk says, I'm in London working 2 days a week with commute and having to hump work laptop. Too much to take gear for lunchtime shoots like I used to, so rarely get shoot up there these days. The same, I live in basically South London, so, and I commute to work, yeah, what I generally have with me is either a point and shoot camera, or I have my little rangefinder with 28mm lens on it. And normally my photography concludes with about 40 minutes walk from the shop towards Big Ben, basically the Parliament, and then back down Victoria Street and back to Grace. So that takes about 45 minutes walk. And I carry the camera with me, and if there's anything comes up, I take some shots. So I normally end up with like 4 or 5 shots in my break. So this is kind of my street photography setup, I would say. You know, this is kind of my little route that I do. But I agree with you. Yeah, it's one of the things when you commute to work to London, you're not that excited. Everything becomes mundane. It's like, you know, when you live in one place for a very long time, you kind of start to see things that like you're not very excited about the place. So I absolutely agree with you. And that's why maybe, Dave, if you look at the comments, maybe someone will recommend you a place that you haven't been before, just like me, and maybe there it's going to be this kind of new think I would love to, just go maybe once every 2 months and just be a tourist for a day. Sounds like a fun thing to do in the city that you live. And basically London became the city, for me. So that I live in. So, but now I live kind of more in the suburbs of London. So, okay. So let's see more recommendations here. There's a lab discussion. So there's quite a few labs in United States people recommend. That's good. So ECN2 process, by the way, it becomes a lot more popular. So a lot more labs are offering now. E6 is a little bit more difficult, I think, because the film is so expensive, the slide film, that it's just not many people buy it. And I think if someone, and there's a rumor that Kodak is either modifying their E100 Ektachrome film, or they're working on a cheaper version of it. So if that's the case, hopefully it becomes a lot more available and a lot more affordable for a lot of people. And the more people start to shoot slide film, I think the cheaper it will become, and it will make more sense to labs as well, for labs to offer such service, because overall, if you're going to get 3-4 rolls a week, it's not financially viable to run such service, so that's what it is. Okay, let's see who else is in the chat. Thomas is from Hamburg. That's good. Philip says that I sound good. That's good. Roy is still asking about 28 to 135 power zoom, and I still think it's going to happen next year. But if you saw the news that Red slashed their prices on Komodo series cameras by about 30%, so they're making the equipment cheaper. I wonder if they're gearing up to release of a new equipment, and that's why they're kind of trying to shift stock. Who knows? Or maybe they just want to be more competitive and capture more share. But it's an interesting development. It's an interesting sign either of new things to come or of Nikon implementing certain things with Red. So that was interesting to me. So, but I still think that next year for Nikon is basically cine. Everything's to do with cine, lenses, cameras, you name it. All right, so Dave is ready to go for a walk and take some photographs tomorrow. Sounds good. I absolutely agree with you. Let's do this. Severima says, Japan Camera Hunter mentioned on his live stream that Nikon is owned by Mitsubishi and they make most of their money from diamonds. That's why they never really go broke. Wow, okay. Sorry, I left my tinfoil hat at home, so otherwise I would put it on. But definitely, I like to watch Japan Camera Hunter streams. He had this, he had this new Mint camera, which is Rolly 35 something. That was an interesting stream. And if I'm in Japan next time, I definitely want to come and say hello. He came into the shop 6-7 years ago as well, so we met him in person as well. So Tom Lawrence has recommendations. So I like military stuff. So HMS Belfast is always worth photograph. So that's the big ship, battleship that is next to Tower Bridge. So, if you're around Tower Bridge there, you go there, you photograph the bridge, then there's a Borough Market there. So, Borough Market there, lots of different interesting things there to try and taste. Monmouth Coffee, which is quite well known. If you ask what's kind of the most favorite coffee shops in London, Monmouth comes up quite often. They have branch in Covent Garden and in London Bridge, in Borough Market. I would say they're good coffee shop. They're better coffee places already, but still Monmouth is very good coffee. So, but trust me, this I think London coffee scene in the last 5 years, or last even 8 years, has exploded, and there's a 2 or 3 London coffee apps available at the moment. So if you are a coffee geek and want to try different coffees, then there's definitely quite a few places to visit in London, I can tell you that. And normally, anywhere you are, if you got that map, there's always going to be a good coffee place with a very good coffee. So I'm not talking about the, Starbucks. I'm sorry, Americans. Starbucks is not a good coffee. I can tell you that. Try your local small coffee shops, the artisan coffee roasteries. I definitely recommend this. Don't try, if you're in London, don't try Costa Coffee, don't try Cafe Nero's, those big chains. There are better coffees around. I can definitely recommend you that. All right, so let's see more recommendations on London, on anything to visit in London. Okay, so discussion about Nikon buying things. Nikon bought Red, Nikon bought motion robotics company as well. I think there's definitely a pattern there that's quite interesting. And they also bought 3D printing business, additive manufacturing business. So that's interesting as well. See where it goes, So Louis P says, I went to London Wetlands Centre for Wildlife, west of Putney. Yeah, we've been there with Becky back in the day. I think we filmed the review of Z100 to 400 lens in there. It's a cool, interesting place. Putney is not well connected with the underground, but there's National Rail, so you can walk there. So in London, we have we have Tube, which is underground, or Metro, and then another thing is called National Rail. Those are trains, and generally, if let's say if there's no Tube there, there's National Rail, and obviously you can also take a bus as well, the double decker. Dave Stoll says, I managed to make it to London once or twice a year outside of visiting Grays. I enjoy Kew Gardens and never miss it on a trip. Kew Gardens is such a fantastic place. If you live nearby, you definitely want to buy a membership because it's fairly inexpensive. And, well, if you go there quite often, I think it's like 80, 90 pounds or something like this. But if you go there quite often, if you go there, I think single visit is like 15 or 20 quid. So if you go there quite often, it makes sense. But the beauty of Kew Gardens is such a big place, so you can always go to different places and check different things, but also it looks different in different times of the year as well. So that's the thing. In summer, it looks very different from autumn. So it's just a beautiful place to visit. I've been there about a month ago. Me and Becky went there, I think, twice just this year as well, filming things. It's amazing. And if you're a football fan, there's a Brentford football club stadium just on the station. You cross the river and it's just there. So, again, speaking of football stadiums, obviously we've got Arsenal, we've got Fulham, we've got Chelsea stadiums. They all, again, not the most exciting thing for people who don't follow football, but it is what it is. If you want to venture out slightly outside of London, so in the suburbs, there's also Crystal Palace Stadium. I go there almost every 2 weeks for the home games. It's a very old stadium, so that's the thing. There's not much around there, but there's nice pubs in there. That's what I can tell you, with the good beers. But yeah, Kew Gardens definitely recommend you, and Richmond is nearby as well. So if you want to combine those things, Richmond is nice as a kind of village area to walk around. But if you also want to see some deer, just laying on the grass, doing their own thing, you can definitely do this. I used to cycle from Battersea to Richmond by bicycle along the river. It takes about an hour. It's not that far away, actually. So, and you can also cycle along the river if you want to. So that's quite a nice day out, I would say. And if you have a camera with you, this beautiful, there's lots of boats, people doing all the river activities like rowing and things like this. So it's a nice, it almost feels like a countryside. It doesn't really feel like central London. But speaking, if you want to have this buzz of central London, then there's different places. Obviously, like Regent Street, Oxford Street it's one of those places just full of people, because there's lots of tourists and people who work around the area. So that's one thing. But if you want to see kind of busy folks going to work and more kind of street photography, people wearing suits, then go to City. So it's a Bank Station, Fenchurch, Liverpool Street. There's quite interesting places there to visit. Square Mile area is quite really interesting as well. So there's quite, interesting kind of street photography set up with a kind of, if you like to play with lights and shadows, it's it's a nice place to visit. It's kind of buzzing with all the Londoners going to working in the financial establishments and things like this. But yeah, there's different places definitely. But if you are around Oxford Circus, there's obviously Soho. Lots of bars, things like this. Obviously, from historical point of view, there was a lot of musical things happening there. Me and Gray want to do a walk once, and just he'll tell us the story. What was what club was there in '70s and things like this. So that's on our to-do list and things like this. But again, I spent about 4 or 5 years working in Soho area, so just near Liberty shop. So we used to go out quite often there to not just to eat out, to the parties, to the clubs. Ending up at 4 a.m. in Chinatown, where they would serve beers from the little teapots because they didn't have the license to sell alcohol. Good fun, good stuff. And then you get up and have your coffee at 7 a.m. and you go back to work on Sunday morning. So that was my youth. So but there's definitely interesting places. I think it's London is kind of a mix mash of different things, and the beauty of it is, yes, you have kind of it's like a mosaic of different things. So you can have all sorts of things happening just down the corner, really. At the same time, you have kind of a very posh, rich area, and then literally down the block, you're going to have a council estate. So just like very, very interesting thing, but always fun and full of history. Joseph asking if there's no Becky today. No, Becky's not today. She's not available, I'm afraid. Try next week, or check out last year live stream. She wasn't there as well, but I saw her on Saturday, and she's saying hello to you all. So we've filmed a review of 35 1.4. Now I know a lot more about this, so you can ask me questions on 35 1.4. And we also reviewed Voigtlander 75 f1.5 lens, which I personally adore. It's a very nice lens. Let's go through your comments. So let's see. There's still sound. That's good news. Okay, so Wetland Center, we covered this. Daywalk says, I worked around Whitehall and Trafalgar Square for more years than I care to admit, so long since shot everything around to death. Yep. David Moscora shot his first portrait in years because of price in Alaska. True, but Portrait is fantastic film store. Paul P, Camden Lock and Market. So Camden is, I would call it, for me personally, it's more of a tourist place. I used to, when I was 23, and that was a long time ago, we used to go out to some kind of rock establishments, to some bands playing and things like this. That was fun. But Camden didn't look back then what it looks now. So Camden is more kind of commercialized nowadays. I don't know if it's gentrified, but definitely commercialized. So it's fine if you want to walk along the canals and things like this, if you want to see some punks, but a lot of it is kind of more of a postcard nowadays more than anything else. But people, I haven't been to Camden, like I go there once a year. So, if I need to meet someone and, they want to go there, things like this. But I would say if it's your first, if you've never been to Camden, definitely go to Camden and check it out. But yeah, that's as much as it is. So it's a similar thing to Brick Lane as well. Brick Lane used to be very different what it is now. So I used to live there as well back in the day. It used to be a very dodgy place, I can tell you that. Now it's a lot more commercialized. So Joseph recommends again Highgate Cemetery. That's fantastic. So it's +2 for this one. Hello out there, good to see you. Fantastic. Joe Vlog says, I tried to visit London for a photography trip last May, but I discovered that I'm old these days and I was worn out in just 3 hours. I tried again next day and found I'm still old and wear out quickly. His recommendation, Joe, stop by and fuel up, yeah, either with coffee or a nice bar or pub. So that's the thing. Definitely, it's a lot of area to cover. Absolutely on foot, but definitely I would say stop by different nice places. Try different nibbles, stay hydrated, and it's doable. But yes, if it's hot in London, and when we say hot in London, anything, let's say 24, 25 plus, is very hot because it's quite humid. So if it's anything below that, it's reasonably okay. And obviously, as long as it doesn't rain. So like, let's say it's been raining yesterday. Now it's just grey, but there's no rain at least. All right, so Daywalk says, Docklands are good by Excel Victoria. Get there with the planes taken off of the London City Airport and Stratford with there. Yeah, it's quite a different experience from the rest of London because both of those things are quite remote. But if you go by Jubilee Line, you can just get out of Canary Wharf. There's all your kind of financial district, all your skyscrapers and things like this. You can walk around there. Docklands is very pretty. If you want to have a scenic trip, then take a DLR, and that's it's those kind of automatically operated trains. So you can see at the front there's no driver and things like this. and it goes on this one rail. It's very cool. Again, one of the places I used to live was Lewisham Westferry area, so I used to walk to city actually quite often, so that was fun. And then if you could take a Jubilee line further, you end up in Stratford, and Stratford is basically where it has Olympic Village. That's where the London Stadium is, and it's a stadium where they do a lot of gigs. And of course, I didn't mention West Ham as a part of London football clubs. So again, that's another place. But a lot of concerts are made in there. If you're into shopping, there's a big Westbury centre there. So Westfield, but not Westbury. So all sorts of things to do there. Again, it may be quite empty. What I tend to do is I go to Stratford, I pass the Olympic Stadium, and I go to Hackney Wick. And Hackney Wick is very cool place for artists, creatives, lots of different kind of independent places, from kind of food, drink areas, like there's photography studios in there, all sorts of things. When I used to shoot a lot of commercially, we used to rent quite a few studios in there as well. So, but Hackney Wick is fantastic. And again, if you go along the canal from Stratford all the way down to Hackney, there's a lot of very interesting places. And it's a nice walk. And if you go all the way down, you towards central London, I believe you end up in King's Cross, if I'm not mistaken. Again, it's 2-3 hour walk, so you can make a day out of it, basically, King's Cross is now a very interesting area, fully redeveloped. A lot of areas, the barracks that they have, it's quite nicely done there. There's a Lightroom gallery there as well. They do some interesting art shows in there as well. So, okay, let's have a look. More questions, more suggestions. Kevin is asking, is Nikon Red F2.3 any good, and what would be decent price for one in really good condition? Not sure about the price, but Nikon Red F2.3 was fine. Yeah, it was they had basically their main Nikon F line, and Nikon Red was their kind of more budget line. It doesn't mean it's a bad camera. I think it's a reasonable camera. That's the thing. But prices can go for like basically all over the internet. You can get a beaten up one for a son really, and you can have a pay through the roof for the collector's one. So really, I think it's more of a matter of your personal choice and finding the right balance between cosmetic condition and the price. So David Lewis says, alternative to Sky Garden, 9th floor post building next to British Museum, the garden at 120 Fenchurch Street, 5th floor of Royal Opera, rooftop terrace on the new change. Yeah, good recommendations. British Museum is a good place as well. And there's Aperture Photographic at Museum Street as well. It's, again, very interesting place to visit if you want to visit photographic dealers in London. So there's quite actually few photographic shops in the area as well, but Aperture is one of those things that those guys been there for years. It's like an institution as well, and as far as I know, they still serve noodles. So, but yeah, I haven't been there actually for a very long time. But yeah, hello to Patrick, and he knows us. He's a friend of the shop. We're a friend of Aperture as well. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so David's telling, kind of confirm what I said in terms of like a kind of this mosaic landscape of London architecture, where we've got all the kind of historical buildings together with the modern side. It's very interesting to see, and especially if you're around, let's say, London, the Borough Market area as well. You could, if you go somewhere high up, you can see all those kind of rail lines as well go through the area. It's quite fascinating. It's definitely kind of a mishmash of lots of things. So Messi is saying, hey, Con, hope you're well. Alan Shala has a great street photography route around London on his YouTube channel. For anyone who wants to check it out, can be easily done in a few hours. So check out his channel. Definitely have a look at this. Hopefully you can find something interesting for you. So, and 2-3 hours, it's really kind of good. You don't want to spend 8 hours working, that's for sure. Pete Gazzole says, I got some great blue hour night shots of the Palace of Westminster from across the river. It was lighted nicely. Yeah, definitely recommend you that. It's quite nice. Let's see. Let's go further. Primrose Hill for views over London. Definitely recommend that. Not far from Regis Park. Absolutely. There's another view, Hampstead Heath. So there's another place. Definitely have a look. Go there if you want to walk around the fields and think that you're not in London. Definitely Hampstead Heath is the place to go. And Regent's Park. It's also quite nice because Regent's Park is just, you instead of going down Regent Street, you go up Regent Street and you end up in Regent's Park. Here we go. So Dave is asking, what do you think about 35 1.4 Z lens? I can tell you that with 35 1.4 out, I personally, and that's a controversial opinion, and people may not agree with me, but I don't really see the point of 35 1.8 S lens. That's how much the 35 1.4 is good. So that it's a great lens. It's got a bit more character, which is good. It's not super character lens. It's more kind of Nikon rendering, but technically I would say it performs really, really close to 35 1.8. So it's almost as good as 1.8. It's cheaper than 1.8. It's got a second focusing ring, which you can assign either to aperture change or things like this. So for me personally, definitely, if I would have to buy 35 now from Nikon, I would go with 35 1.4. And the question for all of us is really, so with 35 1.4 out, will Nikon continue? Will they release, let's say, 50 1.4? Will they release 85 1.4 lenses and make them this kind of, it's not a budget line, but let's say, wide open, but maybe not like ultra modern sharp lenses. Will they do this? And if they do this, then it kind of suddenly we'll start to realize, oh, maybe that's why Sigma doesn't release their art lenses. This is kind of the questions I have in my mind, So I don't know. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. So Nick Harrison recommends Fuller's Pubs and Brewery at Chiswick too. Yes, definitely. Cool place. Chiswick, again, is one of those places that's a little bit kind of out of town. It's not really out of town, but because there's no tube there. So yeah, you kind of, you can basically get a train from, I think, Waterloo, if I'm not mistaken, or if you close to Clapham Junction, that's normally you get a train from there. And it's not far, So, but yeah, Chiswick, Twickenham, all quite, interesting place. If you're into rugby, there's definitely, Twickenham play, to visit. And there's a Oval station. There's a rugby stadium there as well, which you can walk from Vauxhall station as well. So Vauxhall, I used to spend time between Battersea and Vauxhall. It kind of came up as well. It's been redeveloped, and there's quite a few interesting places to eat and drink, definitely. You can walk towards Westminster as well from there. It's a short walk. As I say, I used to drive. My first driving lessons was around Vauxhall, and that's how I saw the Queen in a car. I had my driving lesson and I saw the Queen passing by in the car. That was amazing. That was amazing. So, so Boris Johnson, when he was still a mayor, I wish he would just stay a mayor, but when he was still a mayor of London, I saw him passing on the bicycle around Vauxhall Station, so quite often as well. So that was quite a fun story to have, I guess. Michael Reed says, my son lives in Hackney Wick, love it up to the Hackney, so loves to go up to Hackney Marshes and Walthamstow Wetlands. Yes, Hackney Wick is a fantastic area for creatives, artists, photographers, and it's up and coming. Even compared to what used to be 10 years ago, it has developed quite a bit. I mean, it's one of the things that, Hackney used to be quite rough. It's definitely a lot safer now than it used to be. But it's the same I can say about Brick Lane and things like this. But definitely Hackney Wick. Normally what happens is, you have the area in London, which is quite close to centre, and it's quite rough. And normally, you get all the kind of creatives go in there. They run studios. They, do all sorts of creative things there. And then this area starts to get redeveloped. A lot more money got put in there, and then kind of people being out of priced out of the area, and they move further and further and further, and this continues to this day. So that's the thing. But yeah, definitely Hackney Wick. That's the thing. You go from basically, if you want to go to Olympic Village, then you walk towards Hackney Wick, and then that's one of the things. Dalston area is quite cool as well. For again, one of the if you like kind of again lots of independent places, lots of coffee roasteries there, lots of art places, you name it, lots of music places. If you're into music scene, clubbing, that's the kind of place to visit. And it may look rough in certain areas, but that's just kind of part of London. Again, in terms of safety, I would say just be kind of street smart. Yeah, be alert. Don't, like, just judge the situation. That's the thing. But I think it's with everything. It's with everything and it's everywhere. So just, kind of be alert at all times if you can. So that's the thing. And then you should be fine. Let's have a look for more recommendations. So Elizabeth Line has been recommended to try it. I haven't tried Elizabeth Line yet. You know what? It's been some time now, but I haven't tried. Just because I live in South, I don't really need to use it, but I've been around Tottenham Court Road when they were developing that stations, because it's been developed there for about 5 years or so. Portobello Road, yes, Notting Hill, again, another touristic place, to visit. There's like stores of old cameras there as well, and expired film. You can look to. Interesting area. I'm not a big fan on the Carnival side of things. I've been there once and never again. Again, speaking of safety, maybe Carnival is not the best place, to be, or at least after the dark. That's my suggestion. But yeah, overall, Notting Hill is quite nice. What's the park there? Holland Park is just nearby as well. It's a very nice, tranquil place to visit as well, if you like it. And it's all kind of very residential, very upmarket residential, but not modern buildings, a lot more historic, but not a cheap area. And of course, so we've got the canals. Yeah, the Little Venice, that's another place. So if you like to go along the canals, there's definitely a place I recommend. You can start at Edgware Road and work your way up towards Warwick Avenue and things like this, So again, very picturesque. Lots of, again, nice pubs around, and you can stop by. There's lots of photo opportunities, I would say. Greetings from Taiwan. Hello. I can't read the characters, I'm afraid, but hello and thanks for joining. So if you tell me your name in English, then I'll tell you. I'll remember who you are. But thanks for joining us today. Nick Harrison recommends Hampton Court, about an hour from City of London. It's an interesting place as well. Pergola Garden, Hampstead, definitely. Kenwood House, fantastic. Crystal Palace Park as well, and the area around it is quite nice as well. Again, very chill. That's the thing, a lot less touristic, and that's where we normally go if we just want to have a little picnic, So we take Tilly with us and we just go there, and then we end up in for a brunch, in one of the pubs as well. So Champagne, someone asking, no pub photography. What we normally do, we do this thing called 12 pubs of Christmas. And I wonder if we should do it all together if you're in London. I normally, don't last longer than pub 4. But last one we did, we end up in McDonald's about 2 a.m. in the morning. But that's the thing, just soaking up the alcohol. But I'm sure that we can definitely see a lot of shots of cups of coffee and beautiful leather arts, as well as pints of beers. And let's be honest, I put a picture when I was in Slovakia of a pint of beer with my camera and then a Koffee. And someone says, this is what photography is all about. Exactly. You had a nice walk, you took some nice pictures, and then you refresh yourself, either with a beautiful non-alcoholic drink or a pint. Who knows, But overall, it's you celebrate your day out and just enjoyment. And I think it's better to be outside than watching telly all the time, Here we go. Hello, Paul from Bruges. Bruges is a beautiful place as well. Lots of breweries. Joe Vlogs, as I said in Peckham last time, I visited so many street photo opportunities. Yes, Peckham is definitely a cool place to be. Again, rough on the edges, but a cool place to be. Brixton used to be like this as well. So Brixton is a lot more kind of commercialized nowadays, a lot nicer than it used to be as well. I used to go to Photo Fusion to scan and develop my film in Brixton back in the day. Peckham was a cool place, definitely. Lots of nice restaurants as well to visit. I think they have rooftop cinema there as well, which is quite nice. So Richmond Park has been recommended again, absolutely. So do we think Z7 III will be announced this year? I've asked this question you guys, and you said no, really, in majority. But who knows? I would love them to release it. I think the choice is important and make it different from the other 45-megapixel cameras. So, low and slow. But I would recommend you have a look at a couple of previous live streams where I talk a lot more about that. Let's have a look. George is saying, I'm going to Sweden next month for Aurora Borealis. I currently have a Nikon Z6 24 to 120, 14 to 30. What's your opinion on this lens for Northern Lights? Generally advise that it should be fine, but if you can get a wide open lens, the better, so the kind of, if you can go to maybe 1.8, like 20 mil 1.8 or something like this, they will perform better, but it's not the end of the world. That's the answer. Hello, Joseph. Yes, from Slovakia. Assume Zlatý Bažan. Absolutely. Anytime. There's all sorts of different Slovak beers and Czech beers, of course, because it used to be one country. So definitely lots of choice. They like their Pilsner, I can tell you that. All right, so let's see. Ron Ferguson says, the painted hall in Greenwich University, Old Naval College before it became uni. Beautiful places. That's the thing. If you're a history buff, there's so many interesting pieces of history and architecture that scatters around London. It's amazing. So if you are in, let's say, around Fenchurch Street and Square Mile, there's, I think, one of the oldest pubs in there, so you can visit there as well. Still fine, still going strong. I can tell you that. I've been there about 3-4 months ago. Thanks, Champagne Sum. I appreciate it. We always enjoy a good coffee here. And I've got a bag from Rick. All right, let's see. What other options? So, Thomas is recommending Videotrox 16mm 1.8 for Auroras. Yeah, definitely. So as long as you go wide aperture, that's the thing. And obviously, Videotrox is a lot more affordable than the other lenses. So, haven't tried it, but reviews seem to be very, very good. Thank you, Fred. This stream is for you. All this recommendation is for you. And I hope you saw my email. And yes, definitely, I'll be happy to see you in the shop whenever you're here. So hopefully there's quite a few recommendations here for you in this chart over here, and I'm sure that people in the comments are going to put them as well. Let's see. Any more recommendations on London things to visit? I always like boat rides, so I would recommend to get a boat. I really like normally I go from, let's say, Greenwich, and then you go to, let's say, Tate Modern, and you can change there, and you can go to Battersea. That's a nice view. They do have tours as well where they talk about history if you like that. But even like River Taxi or whatever, that's is highly recommended. If you like to be everywhere I go, I take a boat. It's just me. Let's see. Let's look at the further questions here. So hello, Tony. Design Museum. Yes, Design Museum. Oh yes, there are 2 design museums, right? So Design Museum is adjacent to Holland Park. This design museum, that's where Nikon had their launch event for Nikon Z6 and Z7. So for their first mirrorless cameras. So they had it there. That was quite interesting. So they had rented the whole floor. And they had dancers in there and BMXers on their bikes and all sorts of things, acrobats, you name it. So that was quite fun. But there's also a design museum in next to Tower Bridge there as well. So also quite cool. Also quite interesting place. My friend actually used to work there, so we used to get some free tickets there as well. So if you've never been to Tate Modern, definitely recommend you. Near Grace, there's Tate as well. So quite interesting place to visit as well. If you're near us, it's just about 10 minutes walk from us. So that's that. So yeah, Stuart Warmley, here we go. So Stuart, we're going to get back at you with your West Ham winning us 2-0. I can tell you that at London Stadium, which if you're tourists, come and visit. It's an interesting place. But yes, he has a board recommendation, Westminster to Richmond. So this is the one to get. So it doesn't go there quite often, so you need to know your timetable. But it is, you basically get on it at Westminster Pier, and you end up in Richmond. And Richmond is a beautiful place to walk around. That's the thing. It's nice. But yeah, definitely highly recommend. And the other way, you go all the way to Greenwich. That's that as well. Champagne someone says, any recommendations for where to photo in Blackpool or Milton Keynes? Wow. Those places are actually, there's a whole documentary on Milton Keynes, is how it was designed, and the ideas behind it, and obviously what the dream was and what it became. Blackpool, though, is It's an interesting place for street photography, that's for sure. I think it's kind of sums up England. Yeah, the true England, because it's a party town, But it's a very interesting place. There's quite a few books. Unfortunately, if I remember, I'll find. There's quite a few photographers that release quite interesting documentary street photography books on Blackpool. Definitely an interesting place. I would say if you're into street photography, Blackpool is where it's at compared to Milton Keynes, So, but if you're into roller coaster rides, then it's the opposite. That's the thing. I've never been there though, and neither Blackpool. I want to go. I want to go for sure. That's the thing. I haven't been to. Well, I've been to Bristol. I've been to Liverpool and Manchester, but I haven't explored. Like I haven't been to Blackpool. I haven't explored Cotswold, or I never explored kind of all the kind of south of England. I definitely want to go on and drive there. So take my dog with me, just climb all the places, etc. So, all right. Let's see more. Don't worry, Stuart. We are coming for you. Don't worry. I don't know when we're playing actually, but the first goal was deserved. The second one was a sucker punch for us, that's for sure. And we played so well before that. But it's okay. It's okay. We'll get back to you. I think last season we won, 6-2? If I'm not mistaken. I think we were up like 3-0 by 25th minute. And we were thinking like, did we get to 6 by halftime? Remember those? I know that when it was the past is the past, but don't worry, we'll get back to you. All right, so let's see. Tom Lawrence says, nowhere when Milton Keynes worth photographing. True story. Yes, it's, would we call it a failure of a city's design? Definitely, if you're into city planning, so many documentaries on British towns, and the decline of British seaside towns as well. So many, many interesting videos, lots of content. I highly recommend it. There's one on Croydon as well, which is quite fun. Thank you, David Liu. I appreciate it. Have some anti-Starbucks liquids. Yes, support your local camera shop. Support your local coffee place. Artisan coffee, hopefully. And I think nowadays you don't need to look hard. Like there's quite a few local places that make really good coffee. All right. Okay. So yes, Joe Vlog recommends Blackpool for street photography. Yeah, I need to get there for sure. Tom Lawrence says there's some decent countryside around Milton Keynes. Absolutely. Louis P recommends Windsor Castle. So Windsor Castle, just outside of London. Yeah, it's basically just past Heathrow. So yeah, you can take train actually. So yeah, there's a train station, things like this. So if you're driving, it's not far. But yeah, Windsor Castle is recommended to visit as well. It's fun. I've been in Windsor Castle. I saw the Queen's grave, so that was happened to be So they I saw that. That was 6 months ago or something like this. So no, that was last summer. Let's see. Yeah, lots of hands up for Blackpool. We should cover the whole England, I think, definitely. And once I go to New York or LA, then I'm going to say, or San Francisco, we're going to do the same topic. If you guys like this type of thing, photographing a place, then we can continue with that topic every now and then, So that's the thing, and cover it. So for weirdness, David Liu recommends try Crossbones Graveyard at SE1. Okay, that's an interesting one. Okay, let's try it out. Let's see more. So seaside towns for Champagne. So more. Any recommendations of seaside towns? Okay. I haven't visited many, but I'm kept in proximity of London. So I think that the furthest one was Weymouth and Bournemouth. The rest is much closer. So Worthing, we went there. So it's right off. It's basically 10 minutes drive from Brighton. So if you don't like Brighton, which whole London goes to London when it's nice and sunny. So Worthing is about 10 minutes by car. You kind of get to entrance towards Brighton if you drive in, and then you drive for another 10 minutes. Not ideal if you, let's say it's not ideal if you travel by public transport. So yeah, but then on the other side, you got Eastbourne. Obviously, Seven Sisters Walk is highly recommended. You can go to Brighton, get a train to Seaford, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and then walk all the way to Eastbourne over Seven Sisters. So it's always quite fun. We try to do it at least once a year because it's a nice walk. And yeah, as long as it's not super hot, you should be fine, and always just have lots of water with you. There's one pub right in the middle. The problem with that pub is it's really good. And if you have a pint there, you may feel very tired to continue. So don't stop in that pub unless it's just for some non-alcoholic refreshment drink, so you can keep your energy. And once you reach Eastbourne, just about maybe 30 minutes walk before, there's a nice pub over there where you can sit down, refuel properly, and then it's like a nice and easy walk towards Eastbourne from there. Thank you very much to John from Connecticut. He says, hi, Con, just got back from London and a 5-day Trix minimalism and street photography holiday. Amazing. Only had my f2 AS with 24 2.8 lens, 51.2 and 180 2.8 lens. Absolutely incredible time and got some great images. Fantastic. Trix is a beautiful, beautiful film, regardless if you're shooting it at box speed or you stop it down. It has this beautiful kind of crunchy grain, very, very Trix-like, and I definitely enjoy shooting it when I can. And I think that London black and white has its own flavor, isn't it? So it definitely has its own feel to the images. Definitely share some images with us, you know. So if you put them on Instagram, maybe just send me a DM. I'll definitely would love to see them. But yes, Trix, be it on 35mm or 120, is a beautiful, beautiful film. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Ron Ferguson says Portsmouth, Royal Dockland, Mary Rose, Warrior, and HMS Victory. Those are quite a few recommendations to visit. Absolutely. And then recommendations of the seaside towns, Cromer, Sheringham, and Clay in Norfolk are worth a visit. Absolutely, I recommend that as well. Berwick and Northumberland coast up north, there be dragons, absolutely. And if you go towards Scotland, then obviously you can do all your Game of Thrones tours, you name it. So there's quite a few places there to visit. If you happen to be in Ireland, there's a place I went to called Dingle, and they filmed some scenes for Star Wars in there. There's mountains there, so it's a beautiful place. Again, if you like a seafood chowder, I know it's Ireland, but again, cool place to visit. So a lot of people, let's say, who come from the United States, they kind of try to visit Ireland as well because it's so close. But yeah, cool places for sure. So Paul Peterhan, try Brexil on Rye. Okay, that's an interesting one. Yes. Is it Brexil on Rye? I need to see it because is it what near Sandy Beaches? Is that where it's at? Because I know Rye and then Sandy Beaches. Okay, I'll check on the map later. It's fine. Stuart Wormsley comes up with his recommendations. So Seaside, Brighton, can be photographed many times. Whitstable, yes, Whitstable is a great place. So it's not down south. It's kind of more up towards the east, so quite interesting. As long as you're not going to get stuck on the highway, you should be fine. It's a beautiful place. Cheap oysters and scallops, definitely recommend it. Deal, Margate, Folkestone, Broadstairs, all reachable from London. Some good coastal walks, pubs, boats, nostalgic photography. Absolutely, absolutely great. Actually, one place I again tend to go almost once a year is. And I forgot it. Of course, I forgot it. It's a beach. And Dunkirk? No. Let me find it. I'll get there. I'm opening my map now. Let's see. And of course, I won't find them now. All right, it will come back to me. Of course. When you want to recommend something, and then you just simply forget. Bognor Regis, quite interesting places around that area as well. So I thought I had them mapped. Okay, it will come back to me. But it's been an hour, actually. So thanks so much for joining me. If you like this workshop, if you like this live stream, it seems like we didn't buff today, which is nice. Dungeness, yes, Nick, Dungeness, beautiful place. I go there almost every year. 2 hours ride by car, but beautiful beach, amazing photographic opportunity. There's a nice seafood shack in there, so if you like your scallops, it's fantastic. place to be. Tilly likes to run around there. Last time she found a dead seagull and she rolled all over it. So we had to drive back with open windows. So since then, when we go to Dungeness, she's on a leash all the time. But yes, if you enjoy this video and you want to do more things like this, photographing a place, let's call it a theme, definitely let me know in the comments below, first of all. And then, yeah, maybe in the chat, email me more recommendations for the videos, you know, any topics that we can discuss. But I really enjoyed it. As I say, I live in London, and therefore I now know more places to visit that I haven't visited yet. And it's always nice to feel like a tourist in the city that you live in. Now, you have a weekend, go take some cameras, shoot film, shoot digital, go take some pictures, share them everywhere, share it with us. And thank you very much. I'll see you next week. The same time, the same place. All the best. Bye-bye.